My wife froze the second she saw me instead of the man she was expecting. It all started that Thursday morning. My buddy Eric was swinging by to pick me up for our annual 4-day hunting trip. I gave my wife, Jenna, a quick hug, told her I loved her, and walked out the door. Eric had already loaded most of his gear into the truck. He takes prep seriously. As he popped open the truck bed and slid out a drawer under the shell, he nodded. "Put your rifle in here," he said. I slid my rifle in next to the rest of the equipment and climbed into the cab. Before we pulled away, I glanced back at the house. Door closed. No wave. Just silence. We drove out to this old cabin Eric inherited from his uncle. The place had been run down until a couple years ago, but Eric had made it livable again. Better insulation, efficient wood stove, hell, even a satellite dish now for TV and spotty internet. "Don't count on cell service," Eric said, "but you can use WhatsApp if you need to reach Jenna." "Nah," I replied. "She's not expecting much contact, and honestly I like being off-grid. Peaceful." That night we watched some sports over dinner. Then I cracked open a John Sandford novel while Eric tapped away on his laptop. Just 2 beers in, and suddenly Eric muttered, "Oh man." I looked up. He didn't even blink. Just stared at the screen like he'd seen a ghost. "What is it?" I asked. His voice dipped. "Matt, you need to see this." I got up, walked over, and sat beside him, expecting to see some awful headline, war, death, something terrible. But it wasn't a news site. It was a dating profile. On screen, Jenna, my wife, smiling that smug little smile I'd grown to hate without even realizing it. "What the hell is this?" I asked. Eric looked genuinely uncomfortable. "It's a hookup site. I didn't mean to find it. One of the pages linked from a forum I was on. And there she was." I blinked hard. "A hookup site? Are you sure it's her?" "I've seen fake profiles before," Eric said. "But this one, it has new pictures. Like that outfit. Didn't you buy her that red sweater last Christmas?" My stomach dropped. "Yeah, I bought her that." I remembered how excited she'd pretended to be. I leaned in and read the profile. "Can you help me work through my daddy issues? Not the sugar kind. Think more family secrets. I dreamt about my dad once and he was young again. So was I. Daddy's girl just wants some fun. If you're tall, dark-haired, and have a Mediterranean vibe, let's connect. I'm free all weekend." My heart started pounding. Mediterranean? Dark hair? Tall? That didn't describe Jenna's dad. But it did describe me. Exactly me. She wasn't fantasizing about strangers. She was baiting people who looked like me. It got worse. Underneath the profile was a chat box. The most recent message thread read, "Hi, I've had a lot of free time this month. You got room for me? Oh yes, I always have space for you. Let me know when I can see you again. Last time was amazing." I closed my eyes. She'd been doing this for months, inviting strangers into our lives, while I worked and saved and stayed faithful. "Eric," I said quietly, "can you tell how long she's had this profile?" He clicked around. "Far as I can tell, it's not monetized. No OnlyFans links, no paid messages. She's not selling anything. She's just playing." That made it worse somehow. This wasn't desperation. It was recreation. A twisted hobby. I stood up, blood boiling. She thinks she's slick. Thought one weekend would be enough to sneak around. While I'm up here living off jerky and coffee, she's down there doing God knows what. Eric didn't say anything at first. Then, like he'd been turning it over in his mind, he said, "You want to know if she's active right now?" I nodded. "Yeah, send her a message. Pretend to be her type. See if she bites." He hesitated, then started typing. I sat back down, staring at the screen, my chest hollow. I wasn't sure what would hurt more, if she replied fast, or if she'd already made plans. Either way, the truth was waiting, and so was I. "I could try," Eric said, hesitant, "but I'm not exactly her type, and she's gonna want a picture." Then it hit me. "She wants a picture," I muttered. "She's describing me. What if we flipped it? Sent her my picture and baited her ourselves?" Eric paused, then nodded slowly. That actually might work. Still, I knew it was too late to fully pull off the sting. But I could blow up her little fantasy world by dropping one simple message in the chat. I'm coming home early, and I'm bringing my rifle. Eric shook his head. Don't tip her off. She said she's free Friday and Sunday, right? If she's lining up something, it'll be soon. We'd taken Friday and Monday off to make it a long weekend. Jenna wouldn't expect me back until Monday afternoon. That gave her time to cover her tracks, if I gave her a warning. If you text her, she'll just start spinning lies, Eric said, his voice tightening. I remembered then his ex-wife had torched his life after running off with her boss. He knew the terrain. If we roll out now, he added, we catch her in the act. With proof. We grinned grimly at each other. It was a 3-hour drive back. We spent the first hour throwing around scenarios. Should we knock? Should we follow her? Should we try to catch her daddy red-handed? But eventually, the talk tapered off. Silence filled the truck as reality settled in. It was nearly 11 p.m. when we finally pulled onto my street. Eric slowed down as we approached my house. Keep driving, I told him. He frowned, confused, but hit the gas. There's a car out front I don't recognize, he muttered. Nobody parks on the street around here at night. That did it. She's already started, I said coldly. And she's doing it in my house. I reached for the door handle. Matt, wait, Eric said. We have a plan. We go together, or we wait. Don't just storm in. I need to know, I snapped. He cursed under his breath. Fine. Plan B. We looped around to the alley behind the house. Eric killed the headlights and parked. We go in quiet. We observe. Then we decide. I nodded. He was right. My rifle was in the truck, and so was every ounce of restraint I had left. We crept through the dark, staying in the shadows. I checked the alley gate unlocked. Lucky. Or maybe just careless. The master bedroom was in the back. A dim light glowed behind the curtains. We moved carefully across the yard, avoiding every dry leaf. My breath felt like fire in my chest. I tried to peek through the curtain. Nothing. Then I moved in closer, spotted a small gap, and there it was. Jenna. With some older guy. On our bed. For a second, I couldn't breathe. I wanted to kick in the glass, yell, do something. My hand instinctively reached for my multi-tool, but Eric stopped me. He grabbed my arm and shook his head. Hard. I didn't want to listen, but I did. Eventually, I backed away. He motioned toward the gate, and we slipped back out. Neither of us said a word until we were back in his truck. I glanced at the lockbox under the seat. Inside were 2 rifles, a .357, and bear spray. For hunting. Not for this. Eric fired up the engine and drove off without a word. A few blocks away, he pulled into a deserted grocery store lot. I should go back there, I muttered. Break it up. Let them both have it. You'll end up in cuffs, he said flatly. That guy probably doesn't even know she's married. You want to win? Be cold. Be smart. That's how you come out ahead. His words sunk in as we sat in silence. Back at his place, he locked up all the weapons and handed me a beer instead. Then a shot of tequila. We sat at the counter, just staring. She's cheating on you, with you, Eric said, breaking the quiet. Think about it. Maybe she's chasing some weird spark. Maybe this is how she romanticizes your younger self. I shook my head. I'm not 25 anymore. And our bed hasn't exactly been cold. Eric shrugged. I don't know, man. Maybe it's twisted affection. Maybe she loves you, but she needs a mask to ask for what she really wants. Then, in true Eric fashion, he floated a final, awful idea. What if you opened things up? Controlled the chaos? I glared. Not a chance. Another shot, I said. We overslept Friday morning. But when we got up, I got serious. Eric drove me to a rental car agency. I picked out a plain sedan, something that wouldn't get noticed. Then I stopped at a bank, Jenna, and I never used. I opened a new account, transferred half our savings and 20% of our checking. Enough left behind to cover bills, just like the banker suggested. Protect my credit. Next stop was T-Mobile. I bought a dual SIM phone with a killer camera. I didn't switch our family plan, no alerts, no suspicions. Just a new number she didn't know about. As the clerk explained how to toggle between SIMs, I drifted. Sir? Is everything all right? I blinked. Yeah. Banged my knee yesterday. It's giving me grief. She looked skeptical. Hope it feels better soon. I nodded, pretending to focus while my mind swirled with betrayal, strategy, and cold, calculated moves. I was done being the clueless husband. I wasn't walking into this blind again. Eric and I met up at a Starbucks that morning, nursing coffee while we laid out the next move. After going through every detail twice, we headed back toward my neighborhood. We parked Eric's distinctive pickup truck in the same grocery store lot as the night before, only this time it was packed with weekend shoppers. From there, we switched to the rental I'd picked up, quieter and more anonymous. My car was tucked away in our garage, but Jenna's car and the red Hyundai that had haunted my thoughts were both gone. We reached the alley behind the house. I jumped out and headed straight for the back gate. Still unlocked. That gate had bugged me for years. I used to remind Jenna to lock it every time she took out the trash. Funny how her laziness finally worked in my favor. I slipped in quietly. Entering through the front would have drawn too much attention. No need to have the neighbors talking. Eric took up his watch in the grocery lot, as trained on the corner of 3rd and Tompkins, the route we always used to come home. We kept it quiet, cautious. Jenna was supposed to be at work, but trust was no longer on the table. Inside the house, I eased into the laundry room and lowered the attic hatch with a pole. As I peeked through the opening, my walkie-talkie gave 2 quick beeps, Eric's signal. He'd check in every 10 minutes. I tapped the button to confirm and climbed into the crawl space. Calling it an attic was generous. It was more like a dusty coffin with just enough room to crouch. Luckily, the bags I needed were near the hatch. I grabbed an old canvas gear bag and a backpack-style briefcase, ones Jenna hadn't seen me use in years. Downstairs, I moved to the living room alcove we used as a mini-office. From the small safe, I pulled out my passport, social security card, birth certificate, and marriage license. Those went in the briefcase. There was also about $2,000 in cash. I took half. Left the gold coins behind, but snapped a photo of the receipt in case I needed it for court. Another double beep from Eric. 10 minutes. I headed to the bedroom. Grabbed a couple of dress shirts, slacks, ties, socks, and my black loafers, just enough that Jenna wouldn't notice anything missing. Then came the critical part, setting up surveillance. We'd figured it out the night before at Starbucks. My new phone had a time-lapse mode. No sound, but we didn't need it, just eyes on the bed. I positioned it between a row of hats in the closet, aimed perfectly at the mattress. Adjusted the curtains slightly for light. Another beep. I moved fast now. In the living room, I mounted a trail camera we'd brought from the cabin on a high shelf. It had a motion sensor, a full battery, and a clean SD card. It'd catch anything happening in the common space. Meanwhile, the phone in the bedroom would upload photos to the cloud every 6 hours. I slipped out of the house with 2 minutes to spare and met Eric back in the parking lot. We didn't speak. Just waited, watching the same corner like it was enemy territory. Afterward, we swung through a KFC drive-thru and brought our food back to his place. The table was a mess of paperwork, receipts, and notebooks, looked more like a corporate takeover than a breakup. I picked up my food, more interested in the Jack Daniels Eric poured into my soda. Time to text her, Eric said, flipping through our checklist. Jenna always expected a text from me when I found signal out in the mountains, just in case. That way, she didn't have to answer calls or deal with awkward check-ins. It had become our norm. I stared at the phone. What do I even say? Eric grabbed it. Just send the usual. He scrolled through our old messages and typed one up. Hey babe, made it safe. Weather looks decent. Hitting the trail early tomorrow. I'll text again if I find signal. Zoxo, Matt. Then, without asking, he dialed another number. Your lawyer, he said. Kelly DeWitt. She'd handled Eric's divorce. Said she'd do right by me too. She answered after 2 rings. Hi, Matt. Frank told me what happened. Rough week, huh? Yeah, I said, voice low. Pretty damn rough. She chuckled gently. You're allowed to curse. That's what lawyers are for, right? I relaxed a little. Are you officially my lawyer now? Let's back up. Are you open to counseling? Maybe working through this? Hell no, I said instantly. Good. That makes things clearer. Are you comfortable using the court's online system to file on your own? I looked into it. But you can't file for infidelity there, right? Correct. If you want infidelity on record and to impact alimony, you need legal representation. Frank said you were fair. You helped him a lot. I'll give you the same rate I gave him, she replied. Sound good? It does. When can we meet? Monday morning. I covered the phone and looked at Eric. She wants to start right away. Thinks the case is interesting. He smirked. Told you. Should I bring the evidence? I asked Kelly. Do you already have some? She replied. So I take it, Kelly said gently, you just found out about all this? Yeah, I replied. We grabbed screenshots of her profile. Caught her with some guy last night. I even set up a camera in the bedroom to monitor the rest of the weekend. Interesting, she said, almost clinical. So she's soliciting strangers online. And specifically, ones who resemble you. Exactly. She wrote out this fantasy, practically describing me to A.T. Just to be clear, Kelly asked, you haven't, let's say, put on a lot of weight since you married? No, I said firmly. Still 6 foot, around 185. Maybe 5 pounds heavier than our wedding day. I lift. I run. I keep in shape. Good, she said. That'll be relevant if she claims you let yourself go. Anyway, once we're done here, I'll email you a secure portal. Frank knows the site. I'll send you the login code. Upload all the evidence you have, photos, screenshots, before our 11 a.m. meeting Monday. Got it. I'll be there. Matt, she said, her voice more serious now, avoid contact with her. Don't go back home. I do family law, not criminal defense. Understood. Once the secure upload code came through, I sent her everything: profile images, chat logs, timestamps. Meanwhile, Frank glanced at my phone. She replied. It was a text from Jenna. Miss you. Hope you're having fun. Happy hunting. Love you, M. Frank smirked and typed a quick reply in my tone. No luck yet. Crashing for the night. Love you too. He dropped the phone into his safe. Acts like a Faraday cage. I'll kill the power, and when you turn it back on, it'll look like the message just took a while to send. Blame the mountains. I shook my head. You read too many spy novels. Maybe, he said. But they're working. Then Frank got real with me, started opening up about how his own divorce drained him. How he'd paid spousal support while his ex played house with another guy. I hoped Jenna's cheating would spare me that fate. Using Frank's roadmap, I began closing things down. I shut our joint investment accounts, locked her out of every login, and rerouted all financial alerts to my new phone. I even canceled our credit cards except the one she used for groceries. That one? I slashed the limit. 6 hours later, it was time for the first data dump from the camera to my cloud. When I opened it, my stomach flipped. The first few frames showed a freshly made bed with different pillowcases. Then, as I clicked through, I found 5 separate sets of photos. Blank images, and then, clear as day, Jenna with 2 different men. In our bed. On the same day. I gagged. Had to put down my food. I need to leave, I said hoarsely. I get it, Frank said. Let's grab a drink. No. I need space. I need to feel this. Throw up. Cry. Whatever. Matt, you sure that's a good idea? You spiral alone, this gets worse. I won't drink. I won't go home. I just need the road. He hesitated, then nodded. Turn your phone back on so she gets the message and so I can reach you. I did. Then I got in my rental and drove north. 30 minutes. Let the sky go fully dark. I doubled back and parked at the same grocery lot. It was late, but the store was still open. I slipped down the alley, hopped the backyard fence. Jenna had finally locked the gate and crept across the lawn. I peeked through the bedroom curtain. She was in there. With someone new. Again. I moved toward the back door when my phone buzzed. A message. Then a call from Frank. I ignored both. Then I heard it from the shadows. I see you, dumbass. I froze. It was Frank standing in the bed of his truck like a sentry. Get over here or I start honking. Cursing, I scrambled back to the fence, making way too much noise. The last thing I needed was a neighbor calling the cops. What the hell, man? I whispered harshly. She's in there with some G.I. Joe knockoff, Frank growled. I'm about to teach him some manners. Frank, stop. If you charge in there, I'll call the cops myself. He held my stare. Then nodded. I climbed into the truck bed and we drove off, silent. We stopped at a dive bar on Tompkins Parkway. 2 blocks from the store. Back booth. No lights. Frank handed me a shot of Jim Beam and a beer. Drink this. Then talk. I did. Then I exhaled. I'm done. That house? It's a brothel now. I'll never sleep there again. But I'm not gonna sit back and be disrespected either. Frank's face shifted. Calm. Cold. Then stop it. What? Give me your phone. I handed it over, confused. He scrolled to Jenna's contact and called. Put it on speaker. 5 rings. Then her voice, breathless. Matt? Oh my God, what a surprise. You must miss me. Hey Jenna, Frank said flatly. Frank? Is Matt okay? He had a little accident. Not serious, but I may bring him down tonight. Oh my God, what happened? Can I talk to him? Calm down. He smacked his head on a tree branch. Ice packs on. If he starts acting weird, I'll take him in. Should I come? Should I drive up there? Frank glanced at me and smirked. No. Like I said. Then he dragged his thumb across the mic and dropped the phone under the table. It muffled instantly. Frank, I didn't catch that, hello? He gave the mic a gentle stroke. 1 bar now. More later. And with that we ended the call. Frank ended the call with a sharp tap. Okay, he said with finality, we've stopped it. I actually laughed, a real one, for the first time in a full day. Still, I needed to know if it worked. Frank believed Jenna would boot out the soldier and cancel whatever plans she had left if she thought I was injured. As we walked from the bar back toward my house, Frank mentioned something I hadn't considered. She probably told her guests to park over by the supermarket to keep it low-key. Wouldn't want the neighbors talking? How thoughtful of her, I muttered. Wait, Frank said suddenly. Look up ahead. A guy in army fatigues was walking toward us. Frank moved slightly ahead of me, blocking my path. Evening, Frank said, casually but firm. The guy grunted, clearly not expecting company. Frank stepped in front of him, forcing him to stop. Look familiar? He asked me. He kind of looks like you, 10 years ago. The soldier squinted, then his eyes darted between us. He knew. You like married women? I growled. Frank raised a hand to stop me. Easy, Matt. Then he addressed the soldier again. You didn't see the family photos? Nothing looked off? Like maybe she had an older brother who looked a lot like her husband. I thought she was divorced, the guy stammered. Not yet, I said coldly. But give it time. He backed away, then turned and bolted. I could have caught him. Every cell in my body screamed to chase him. But Frank stepped in my way. Don't. Please. Don't make me watch you blow your life up like Tracy did mine. I exhaled, rage tangled with sadness. I'll deck him later, I muttered. Frank cracked a grin. In 6 months, with an ironclad alibi. We returned to my rental, parked where we could watch the house. Frank thought we'd scared her straight for now. He was growing tired of the mission but agreed to give it 1 more hour. Half of it we spent back at the bar. Then we returned and waited. Just before midnight, a Nissan Sentra with out-of-state plates rolled in. A guy got out, tall, dark-haired. Looked eerily like me. I took off on foot, circling around via 2nd Street. Frank followed him from behind, keeping me from getting too close. I ducked behind a tree near the corner of Maple and 3rd, watching from the shadows. The guy read the address and rang the bell. Jenna opened the door just a crack. I couldn't see her, but I heard her voice, quiet and tense. A few seconds passed. She shut the door. He knocked louder. This time she opened it on the chain. It's off, she said. Please leave. Or I'll call the cops. The door slammed and I heard the deadbolt. He stood there for a second, stunned. The porch light on the neighbor's house flicked on. Old man Virgil stepped out just enough to spook the stranger. The guy turned and made a beeline for the sidewalk. He come all that way for nothing. Good. Once the coast was clear, I crept back toward Frank's truck, still resisting the urge to storm the front door. We drove off again. This time, we passed someone flooring it out of the neighborhood. Tires and rage don't mix, Frank muttered. Yeah, I said. Dangerous combo. Saturday morning came after a night of tossing and turning in Frank's guest room. I checked the new footage. Jenna had tossed and turned all night too. But there was nothing new to report. I compiled the stills of her earlier visits for Kelly. What about the video I took through the window? I asked. Hell no, Frank said. The bedroom cam is enough. Let's not mention anything that sounds like trespassing. Think that army boy got the message? Probably, Frank said. Then frowned. Hope he's not dumb enough to try again and catch a husband who doesn't stop at threats. Thanks for that thought. To cheer you up, he said, let's send your lawyer her morning wake-up call. I turned on my phone. Dozens of missed messages from Jenna. I called and left her a short voicemail. Hey, it's me. Sorry Frank scared you. I'm good. Still planning to stay the weekend. Love you. Before I even got up, Kelly called. Hey Matt, didn't expect you on a Saturday. Hey Kelly. Just checked the new uploads. Thought I'd let Frank explain why things got quieter last night. I put her on speaker. Frank jumped in. Morning, Kelly. Morning, Frank. Still causing trouble? Frank walked her through the prank call and fake injury story but skipped over the surveillance and soldier run-in. Kelly laughed. I like it. But are we sure she's canceled the rest of her dates? Hold on, I said, checking my phone. A new message from Jenna. Screw the deer. Come home. I need you. I love you. Please come home. Told you, Frank said. Told him what? Kelly asked. That she still loves him, despite everything. I hesitated. Kelly, have you dealt with anyone in your practice who was addicted to this? Like a full-on compulsion. She was quiet for a moment. I've had clients and spouses with serious issues. Mental health, compulsive behaviors. It's possible. And I'm just supposed to forgive that? I asked. If she claims it was a condition? Kelly sighed. That's a decision only you can make. But if it's a disorder, then this may just be the beginning. I sat back, phone to my ear, not saying a word. And for the first time, I realized I wasn't just battling betrayal. I might be facing something darker. And this time, no prank, no punch, no camera would fix it. It wasn't her fault, I muttered. Kelly, you've seen the photos. How do I erase those from my mind? Every time I look at her. I don't think you can, she replied. But if she's formally diagnosed with something compulsive or clinical, it could shift the divorce terms. That said, no judge will ignore the level of premeditation in what she did. That hit hard. And it made something inside me settle. Kelly, how fast can we file? I can't stay with her. I can't sleep under the same roof anymore. I understand, she said gently. I'll have options prepared for our Monday meeting. Most likely, we'll need to coordinate with her attorney before deciding how to proceed. All right, but what do I tell her when I don't come home Monday night? You don't tell her anything, Kelly said flatly. Let me do the talking. So, what now? Honestly, she said. You've done enough. Any more could blow back. Just sit tight. Don't react emotionally. Don't do anything stupid. Frank, sitting beside me, smirked. I'm doing my best to keep him from doing something dumb, but the guy keeps testing my limits. Kelly's voice turned teasing. By the way, Matt, weren't you still good for a few K? Frank and I both paused, wondering if she was referencing something personal. Yeah, I said slowly. I think I mentioned that. Good, she said with a chuckle. Carry on then. Bye, boys. She hung up. Right after, Jenna called again. I powered my phone off. Kelly's advice still ringing in my ears. With the stress still gnawing, I went shopping for some running clothes, hadn't brought any on the hunting trip. Frank joined me for a jog, but we stopped at 3 miles, he was dying. I wasn't. Still wired, Frank suggested something else, rifle practice. We drove an hour out to a shooting range and set up. I shot twice as much as he did. When I finally stopped to clean my gear, he was already chatting with the range officer. On the drive back, I asked, what was that about? He wanted to know if I could keep you from pointing that rifle at anything other than paper. Smart man, I muttered. Back at his place, Frank locked my gun away in his weapons safe without asking. He spent the rest of the weekend keeping me busy, movies, whiskey limits, and messages to Jenna, always just enough to keep the lie going. On Sunday, he texted her that I'd be spending the day in a tree stand. She's starting to call you an idiot for not coming home, he said, chuckling. Wait until she's served, I replied. Part of me enjoyed the revenge. But mostly, I felt hollow. I loved her. And I really thought she loved me too. Maybe she snapped. Maybe I needed therapy now. After 4 sleepless nights, I woke up Monday morning exhausted but clear. It was over. Not just the marriage, but the illusion. We sent her a text from the supermarket lot. Heading out again. Should be back late tonight. Sorry for scaring you Friday, feeling fine now. Her reply came instantly. You let me suffer all weekend and still can't give up that deer? Maybe just stay at Frank's. I don't want to see you right now. The irony made me smile. That was the plan anyway. 15 minutes later, her car rolled down 3rd Street and turned onto Tompkins, her normal commute. Once she was gone, I parked in the alley. Not completely hidden, but not out front either. No need to give the neighbors a show. I hopped the fence and slipped in through the back. I grabbed the phone from the bedroom and retrieved the trail cam from the living room. Then I headed to the 2nd bedroom, the room we never finished. The one that was supposed to be a nursery. That plan was dead now. I filled a suitcase with more clothes, my laptop, and the gold coins from the safe. Jenna would probably hear from Kelly before realizing I'd even been in the house. Back at Frank's, I plugged in the SD card. My hands were shaking. I brushed my teeth, collapsed fully dressed on the bed until Frank called me out. He was in the kitchen making microwave breakfast sandwiches and brewing coffee. Check the rest of the footage, he said. Might lift your mood. On the coffee table was my laptop. A shot of whiskey sat next to it. Monday morning. First day of divorced life. Why not? I knocked it back and hit play. Frank was right. The footage was more revealing than expected. After the soldier left Friday night, we watched Jenna pace the house, phone in hand, texting and talking, trying to reach me. All through Saturday and Sunday, her tension built. She looked frustrated, maybe even angry as I continued hunting and ignored her calls. I noticed her cleaning up, returning framed photos of me that had vanished earlier in the week. Erasing the damage. Or maybe covering it up. Frank joined me on the couch with coffee and a biscuit in hand. Damn, I said. She really erased me. Frank nodded. That guard wasn't lying when he said she acted like you two were already divorced. Wait, he said suddenly, go back. End of Friday. I rewound. There, look at her hands, he pointed out. She was pacing, texting furiously. What about them? No rings. Sure enough, wedding ring gone. Engagement ring too. I skipped forward to Saturday mid-morning. There they were, back on her finger. The performance was over. Now she was the grieving wife again. She played both roles. And she played them well. But the curtain was about to fall. Kelly DeWitt greeted me as I walked into her office. Tall, confident, wrapped in a sharp gray suit, she gave off an energy that said she didn't lose. Her amber eyes locked onto mine, sharp, analytical. She looked me over, not in a flirtatious way but like she was verifying a file. 6 feet, 180. Long-distance runner, still lifting. I guess I believe your earlier description. Thanks, I said, trying to smile. Sit, Matt. I'm guessing this weekend was rough. Rough doesn't cover it. Anything new from Jenna? I handed her my phone. Just this one. Came in while I was parking. She read the screen aloud. Baby, please ignore my last message. Yes, I'm mad, but I need you. I'm dying without you. Please, Maddie? She lowered the phone. Well, I don't think she did all this just to end the marriage. Sounds more like someone who panicked. I can't just pretend none of this happened, I replied. No. Of course not, she said. But if she gives you an honest explanation and a real promise it's over, do you think you could forgive her? I was ready to fire off a bitter reply, but she held up a hand. I have to ask about reconciliation, she said. It's standard. And I get the feeling you still love her. I do, I admitted. But love's not enough now. You saw the photos, the clips. But you didn't have to watch them like I did. I lived that betrayal in real time. She nodded. I understand. And just so you know, no one's forcing you into counseling. Not even a judge. Not in a case like this. Good. Then tell me how we move forward. I'm ready. We dug in. I asked her about the financials, what infidelity meant in court. Whether my higher income meant I'd still owe alimony. She answered every question patiently, clearly, like she'd handled this 1,000 times. By early afternoon, with deli sandwiches in front of us, she laid out a strategy that would protect my assets while keeping the divorce as clean and fast as possible. Then I nodded. It's time. Let's call her. Kelly put my phone on speaker and dialed Jenna. The line didn't even finish one full ring. Maddie? Oh my God, where are you? Are you okay? Why won't you come home? What the hell are you doing? I need you. Kelly raised her voice. Mrs. Karras? There was a beat of silence. Wait, who is this? What's going on? Where's Matt? Mrs. Karras, Kelly repeated more firmly. I'm calling with his phone because we weren't sure you'd answer another number. Matthias is fine. He was never injured. The reports from Frank were misleading. She gave me a mischievous look and stuck her tongue out. I tried not to smirk. A prank. Jenna shouted. Who are you? Why are you calling my husband's phone? My name is Kelly DeWitt. I'm a family attorney with Green Family Law in Springville. Matthias Karras, your husband, has retained me to represent him in the dissolution of your marriage. Dissolution? Jenna echoed. Her voice cracked. Yes. Mr. Karras hopes to resolve everything privately and quickly. We're asking you to seek legal representation. You can't be serious. We love each other. This is wrong, he's just angry. Put him on the phone. I'm sorry, Kelly said. He's not ready to speak with you. I'll send you my contact details via text. After that, this phone will be disconnected and further contact will need to go through legal channels. But I need to talk to him, she pleaded. Please. This isn't right. Kelly ended the call before she could say more. She looked at me and sighed. That went about as well as it could have. You okay? I asked, surprised by her shift in tone. Protecting people from emotional damage is part of the job. But this just feels sad, she said, eyes heavy. There's something off here, Matt. Maybe this isn't just cheating. Maybe it's deeper. Compulsive. Mental. Either way, you're making the right call. I looked at the phone, then out the window. Screw me, what if that was the last happy day of my life? Kelly shook her head. It's not. I promise. It just feels like that right now. You need therapy, Matt. Not to fix the marriage, but to fix you. Frank waited too long and it made everything harder. Don't do the same. A few hours later, Frank and I were at a sports bar, picking at wings and shrimp with Bloody Marys in hand. I used to think therapy was BS, he said, until I let myself rot for 6 months like a clogged toilet. You could have talked to me more, I said. You did most of the talking, Frank replied. And I finally listened. He raised his glass and I clinked mine against it. To endings. And maybe to beginnings. I tried not to flinch at his metaphor, but it stung. I know you had my back, I told Frank, but watching you and Jenna happy, it crushed me. It just made what I lost feel bigger. Like I'd been living a lie for years and didn't know it. He nodded silently. After I started seeing Kelly's therapist, he said I could finally see you two as a symbol of hope instead of a reminder of what I'd never have again. I took a long pull from my drink. And now? Turns out that hope was built on a lie too, I said. Screw me, Frank muttered. Screw me, I echoed, raising my glass. We clinked and drank in silence. Take a seat, Matt, Kelly said the next afternoon, waving me into a small conference room lined with legal forms and manila folders. It was Tuesday. I'd taken the day off after updating my employer the day before. Spent most of the morning at Frank's hunting for a new apartment. My house was unlivable now. I'd run 5 miles before breakfast and another 3 just to stay sane. The receptionist had led me back to the room, and for a second I thought Jenna might be waiting there with her lawyer. But the room was empty. Nope, Kelly smiled, just us. We need space. I exhaled as I took my seat. She wanted to explain, Kelly said. But if this were TV, it would have been the dramatic confrontation scene. Glad life's not television, I muttered. Kelly smirked. You'd be surprised. I thought about the day before and realized I was grateful Kelly wasn't anything like Jenna. She says, Kelly continued, that you need to hear it from her. And to stop escalating things. I scoffed. What, she did it all for me? Kelly's grin faded. That's what she claims. What the hell? I snapped, barely keeping from cursing. She's calling me a willing victim now? My hands clenched into fists on the table. Kelly reached across and placed her hand over mine. No, Matt. I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry. That was careless. I relaxed a little, still shaken. She's devastated you left, Kelly said softly. She didn't expect that. She thought you'd still be there. That hadn't occurred to me until then, but she was right. Jenna hadn't anticipated losing me, just bending me. Then what did you mean? I asked. Kelly hesitated. The baby. I stared at her. We'd been trying for 11 months. She told me, Kelly nodded. She wanted a child badly. She thought the issue was you. So she went and found someone, like you. You mean she did this to get pregnant? My voice was a whisper. Yes, Kelly said, sliding over a lab report. It's from 3 months ago. Ordered by your OB-GYN. I scanned the page. 2 samples. Both labeled with the same patient ID. That me? I asked. Yep. You're 25,473. Low count? Not 0, but close. My head dropped to the table. She was using me to cover for someone else's child? She didn't want to talk about it, Kelly said gently. So she started collecting donations the old-fashioned way. Said art wasn't covered by insurance. You'd already emptied savings for the house. I didn't know what to say. So if she succeeds, I asked finally, I won't owe child support, right? Kelly frowned. You'll still need a test. Low count doesn't mean 0. But yes, if it's not yours, you won't owe support. And now she's trying to undo it, I said. Because she got caught. She went to her OB this morning for emergency contraception, Kelly confirmed. But that doesn't make sense, I said. She was with someone Thursday. That was 5 days ago. Dr. Wellborn said Jenna asked her to call me. She knew it might be too late, but she didn't want to risk raising someone else's baby now that you're out. The weight of it hit me again. She had planned this before I left. Before the trip. She was going to try to pass it off as mine. That was her play. God knows what diseases she's been exposed to, I muttered. STDs are a concern, Kelly said. But oddly enough, Jenna had appointments lined up for screenings. She was being selective. There's more, isn't there? I asked. Kelly nodded. After we met yesterday, I reviewed your surveillance footage again. I noticed something. Every time a guy came over, she'd check his phone shortly after he walked in. She did that last month too, I muttered. I remember now. Right? It looks like she was scanning for something. Maybe confirming identity or screening texts. I leaned back in the chair, staring at the ceiling. She tried it once last month. It didn't work, so she tried again during the hunting trip. Then planned to come back to Fidelity after that. Kelly nodded. She was going to sleep with you Monday night to seal the timeline. I felt sick all over again. We agreed we wanted 2, maybe 3 kids, I said quietly. And I never imagined this is where we'd end up. Kelly was quiet for a moment. She crossed every line, Matt. But now that she's lost you, she might realize what she's thrown away. Too late, I said. Too much damage. And still, Kelly replied, you're here. You're fighting. And that means you haven't quit on yourself. That matters more than anything. I nodded slowly. For the first time in days, I wasn't just surviving, I was starting to think about what healing might look like. She was checking their STI and HIV test results, Kelly explained calmly. I blinked, stunned. Wait, they get tested that often? Regularly, she confirmed. It's not uncommon in that world. Later that night, over pizza and beer, I asked Frank, so do you carry around lab results? He laughed. Actually, yeah. When I'm dating, I get tested every few months. I always use protection. But people like to see the receipts. I shook my head. Guess I'll have to start doing that too. When you start dating again, he corrected. And yeah, you will. It's not nonsense, it's survival. Then he changed gears. I'm surprised Jenna spilled so much to Kelly so early. No lawyer to filter her mouth. She doesn't have one yet, I told him. Kelly ran into her this morning and demanded she get representation. Jenna refused, thought that once I heard the whole story, I'd call off the divorce. How'd that plan work out for her? He asked with a wry grin. A week and a half later, we were back in Kelly's conference room. Me and Kelly on one side of the table. Jenna and her newly appointed lawyer, a thin, balding man named Mr. Philpott, on the other. Philpott cleared his throat and got right to it. Mr. Karras, we have two key issues. First, my client wants to preserve the marriage. Second, the current financial proposal is lacking. It doesn't include full disclosure of all marital assets, and the suggested support amount is too short-term. Kelly tapped her shoe against mine under the table. Her silent, I told you so. She spoke calmly. Mr. Philpott, my client has already agreed to cover 60% of your fees. Given the betrayal he's endured, I'd call that generous. The judge might think so too, especially if we go to court. All I wanted was closure. I wasn't trying to ruin Jenna's life or bankrupt her. I just wanted her to land on her feet, preferably not in my zip code. She had refused to get her own lawyer for too long. Said we shouldn't be getting divorced. So I'd asked Kelly to help her find someone qualified, which she did. Philpott looked unimpressed. What about my client's future? Her living standard? Her needs? You've seen the evidence, Kelly snapped. Imagine what Matt deals with every night. The images, the footage. This isn't some spat. I'd started therapy, but it wasn't helping yet. Kelly reminded me to stick with it. Frank did too, he said giving up on therapy nearly broke him. I'm sorry, Maddie, Jenna sobbed softly. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Philpott squeezed her hand. Kelly raised her chin. Mr. Philpott, I respect your concern, but state law doesn't guarantee equal division when infidelity is involved. If we can't resolve this now, we'll proceed with the formal filing on the grounds of adultery. She placed a thick manila envelope on the table. Philpott hesitated. His hand hovered over the packet. He didn't open it. I'd given Jen a fair representation. But if this went public, it wouldn't just be humiliating for me, it would destroy her. And she knew it. We'll subpoena every man involved, Kelly added. And we'll request a paternity test for the child your client tried to conceive. Jenna gasped, then let out a broken, guttural sound of regret. That's enough. Philpott snapped. No need to humiliate her. She didn't go through with the pregnancy. She took the pill. I whispered, our baby, our maybe baby. Jenna looked at me, eyes hollow. It would have been ours, Matt. Yours and mine. Kelly pressed her hand on mine again. The room went silent. We'll take a break, Philpott said, his voice tight. He guided Jenna outside. Kelly led me back to her office. When we returned, Philpott tried a softer angle. My client took drastic steps, he said. Only because her husband wouldn't seek treatment or alternatives. This could have been his child. Kelly stood, voice calm but firm. We understand the decision was difficult. But the fact remains Mrs. Karras crossed boundaries that can't be uncrossed. She may still be pregnant, Kelly added. Philpott looked surprised. We'll include a clause in the agreement, she continued. Any child conceived during this affair will not be presumed the legal child of Mr. Karras. We'll seek DNA confirmation. I stopped her before she added anything about the child's future. Enough damage had been done. Jenna gripped her lawyer's hand. Philpott sighed. Setting all that aside, we'd like to revisit Jenna's initial wish not to divorce. She still wants counseling. To rebuild. To try for a family. I laughed bitterly. Why didn't she say that a month ago? Why cheat instead of just talking to me? Mr. Karras, Philpott said carefully, please. No, I interrupted, standing. She didn't just cheat. She planned a family with someone else while pretending it was with me. You don't come back from that. The room went quiet. Kelly looked up at me, then slowly packed up the petition file. This wasn't just a separation. It was the moment the past finally let go of me. I stared at the grain of the table, jaw locked tight. I'm already in therapy, I said slowly. And my therapist says asking why is like pouring water through a funnel. The answer will fill it eventually, but I can't heal until it does. I turned toward Jenna. He said I should invite you to a session, I continued. But right now, I need to know why. Why did you bring strangers into our bed? Why didn't you just talk to me? Her attorney opened his mouth. My client did not, But Jenna cut him off. I didn't want to hurt you, she said, eyes wet. You're proud of your strength, your body. I didn't want to tell you that the problem was you. That you might not be able to give me a baby. My gut twisted. So, I'm just some meathead to you? Is that what this is? No, she blurted. I said it wrong. I didn't mean that. She took a long breath. If we could have afforded IVF, I'd have told you everything. But we couldn't. And we wanted a child now. So yes, it was about finding someone who could help us, not someone I wanted to run away with. So this wasn't about passion? About boredom? This wasn't an affair to escape the routine. Exactly, she said, almost pleading. I wasn't trying to leave. And the guys, the ones you called folders on your profile? I asked. She flinched but nodded. They were all versions of you. In my head, they were just you. Like those multiverse movies you love, alternate versions of the same man. I stared at her, dumbfounded. So, when you imagined feeding a baby, you pictured it being mine? One of those alternate selves had fathered it. She grimaced at my words but didn't back down. Yes, she whispered. It was always you. Just different timelines. I looked over at Kelly, who gave me a questioning glance. I nodded once. Without a word, she reached for the red-marked folder, our nuclear option. One we had prepared but hoped we'd never have to use. Kelly slid a stack of 8 by 10 photos across the table, full-color stills from the living room and bedroom cameras. Video stills. Even one from my Friday night surveillance. Jenna glanced at the top image, went pale, then bolted for the trash can in the corner. The sound of retching filled the room. The house on 3rd Street sold fast. Even after less than 2 years, it had appreciated enough to cover the mortgage and all my relocation costs. I moved from Frank's spare room into a clean, minimalist condo close to work. Jenna moved back to her hometown, not with her parents, but into a modest apartment of her own. She wasn't pregnant, and the short-term spousal support I provided helped her stay afloat until she landed a stable job. It wasn't a perfect ending. But it wasn't a disaster either. She brought the collapse of our life on herself. That truth still haunted me. She had been the love of my life, and in a twisted way, I believed her remorse was real. Her final letter said she still dreamed of reconciling someday. But I didn't see it happening. Therapy helped. I let go of most of the bitterness. I stopped seeing myself as some washed-up husband dragging through life. I stopped clinging to the fantasy of what could have been. As for Frank's ex, Tracy, she ended up working the espresso machine at a Starbucks near their old office. She blamed Frank for her fall from grace, even though the cops cleared him. Surveillance footage showed he'd been at a Foo Fighters concert during the night in question. When the last payment of spousal support clears, I'll officially be done, legally and emotionally. Kelly DeWitt won't be my attorney anymore. Oddly, when she heard I'd gone to an art exhibit and actually enjoyed it, she smiled. Said she wished our first date had been at the gallery instead. And for the first time in a long while. I wasn't sure if she was joking, or if she was inviting something new.